Right now in Toronto, thousands of condo owners are trapped. They can't sell, they can't rent, and they definitely can't afford to keep it at the current rate. But the real nightmare, it's not happening today. It's what's coming down the pipeline in 2026 and 2027. And if you're on the market right now or you're planning to sell your condo soon, listen up. This is going to affect you. Today, we're going to be breaking down what is actually happening in Toronto's condo nightmare, what's causing some owners to be stuck, and how this slow grinding market is going to open up some opportunities in the next 2 years. We're going to use a calm, data-driven approach to analyze the market and see where we are in the cycle and where it's going. This is what's happening in Toronto. The condos here, they're experiencing a perfect storm. Carrying costs are going up with inflation and everything else that's increasing their costs. Rents are definitely flattening and dropping in some buildings, and inventory is climbing. And buyers, where are they? They're sitting on their hands and waiting to see what's going to happen with the economy and prices. This combination doesn't lead to a crash per se, but it does lead to something else. It leads to something worse for condo owners, a long period where you can't exit. So if you're in a condo or condo townhouse and you're thinking about moving up to a home, you might feel a little bit trapped right now. Your equity is stuck. Your monthly costs are getting higher month by month. But that house that you've been watching, I'm sure you're looking on MLS, online, you've seen that it's actually affordable, but you can't unlock the equity in your property. And this is the can't sell, can't rent part of the market that is making some owners panic. And unfortunately, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And before I go into some examples, before I analyze 3 condos, I'm going to show you what's happening with the numbers. And even if condo prices don't fall, which I believe they will still drop, the liquidity is going to get worse. And that's part that's going to impact a lot of move-up buyers. So I'm going to walk you through 3 condos that are listed in different buildings, different sort of layouts, just to show you what is happening with some of the properties on the market right now. I'm going to show you why they're sitting, why they can't sell, why they've been on the market for so long. But first, let's look at some TRREB numbers. Supply. Inventory for Toronto condos have been climbing the last few months. Right now, we're sitting about 5,300 active condo listings in Toronto. That's a lot. The next thing we look at is months of inventory. When there are about 3 to 4 months of inventory, that's a balanced market. Currently, we're at 6.5 months of inventory, clearly in a buyer's market. What does this mean, 6 months of inventory? Well, it's not an exact crash, but it is a slow grind. This is where a lot of sellers are trying to attract those buyers that are sitting on the sidelines, with only about maybe 20% of the property selling each month. So days on market indicates how long it takes to sell a property, and also the urgency, like how quick are buyers picking up properties that are priced well. We're currently sitting about 41 days on the market. That's pretty long. And some of these properties have been relisted a few times, so they're been on the market way longer than 41 days. When days on market are high, it indicates a few things. A lot of listings go stale. That's one. Buyers are waiting. Sellers eventually will start pulling their listings. Inventory starts building and liquidity dries up. And with this sort of environment, this is where a lot of condo owners feel trapped. So these are the pressures that a lot of condo owners are feeling right now. Renewals for some of these condo owners, it's going to be a much higher rate. Industries are definitely going up. I'm seeing a lot of industries go up higher than inflation numbers. Property taxes are up. And the rental rates in a lot of pockets, if you're an investor, you probably see it already. Rents are flattening or coming down. So even if your condo value hasn't dropped, which most likely has, your monthly cash flow is shrinking. And that's why a lot of condo owners are saying, I can't keep this up. So let's look at some real listings that are on the market right now. I'll give you some insight about what's happening. Let's start off with this property at 57 St. Joseph. It's a 1+1 condo. It's currently listed at $649. It's been on the market for a while. You see this property has been listed for 357 days. Long time. It's a long time. It's a decent condo, like 600 some square feet. Location's fantastic. Layout is definitely usable. Has a den. It's not humongous, but you know what? It's a decently laid out condo that's usable. This condo has been in the market for a while. Value-wise, it's definitely above where it should be, in my opinion. But this is an example of a seller that doesn't believe where pricing is. Because technically, these might be like maybe about 10% cheaper for properties to sell. You can't list the property like as what your neighbor sold for a year ago, a year and a half ago. Even at the beginning of the year, the market was much different, was much stronger than it has been for the rest of the year. So that's one example. This is where the seller's waiting for a certain price. And in this market, it's going to be waiting for a couple of years, in my opinion. Take a look at this next property at 101 Charles Street. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-washroom, great location, right near Bloor and Yonge, so pretty central. They've currently been listed for 566 days. The current listing, 121 days. Long time on the market. You see that they bought this property back in 2019 for $735. And looking at the current listing, it's currently listed at $699 on the market. At being $699 on the market, even at this listing, they've been on the market for 212 days and still not selling. So there's nothing wrong with the property when you take a look at it. It looks pretty usable. It's you're pretty central. There's a dining area, there's an area for your TV, the couch and all that, and then the other bedroom. But for $700,000, now they're listing the property lower than what they bought it for, and it's still not selling. The current price, they've been listed since May of this year. So here's another example of a property that, in today's market, can't even sell back in 2019's numbers. And this last property has me scratching my head the most. So this property was purchased back in 2021 for $652,000. They listed it on for $669. This is back in 2024, so 3 years after they purchased, and then they listed at $555 back in the beginning of the year, and still hasn't sold. The building's not too bad. It's a very good location, King Spadina. So location-wise, fantastic. But when you're looking at the history, the most puzzling part is that you see, they've been trying to sell within reason, like in today's, trying to find today's prices, but it looks like they gave up and they priced it at essentially $1 million. And they've been sitting at this price for a year. This is the most puzzling listing I've seen in my real estate career. Doesn't make sense why they did something like that. But here we are. So all these condo examples point to a few things. There's a lot of competition to sell in this market. It's very tough unless you're very priced very, very well. There's high supply. Days of market is, like I said earlier, around 41 days. Some of these places have been on the market for a year. Prices are not going up by any means. They're coming down. And there's no urgency by any buyers. Buyers are taking their time, find the perfect place before they make a bid on. And because there's no FOMO, decisions take a lot longer to come about. But the owners, the condo owners, they're bleeding right now, slowly. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. Because every month that you're on the market, you might be losing equity, in my opinion, because the prices are still slowly coming down. But you have to get ahead of the curve. That's the other thing. And this is not going to change overnight unless rates drop by over 1%, which we don't think they will. Because as of right now, December 2025, we just had a rate hold. And this is going to take years to work through. This is not a crash. It's a very slow grind. But here's the twist. Because these slow grinds, this is where opportunities come out. But you have to understand it and take advantage of them when you see that opportunity pop up. So what happens in the next little while? What happens with the slow grind? What are the results? What does the future look like? Pressures are going to build. Renewals are going to start stacking. They're going to start coming. And condos owners that to renew at the new rate might make it almost unbearable to hold on to that condo. And in my opinion, inventory waves are going to be coming. Meaning that active listings are going to increase. So by 2026, 2027, the market might be shifting a little bit more, in my opinion. We're going to see some opportunities, some pockets of opportunities in certain condos, sizes, and certain buildings. Certain neighborhoods are going to get some traction. Certain buildings and certain neighborhoods, you're going to see some opportunities pop up. Like prices are not going to drop drastically, but you're going to see some fire sales, in my opinion. Properties that are going to be very heavily discounted. All you need is a little bit of motivation, inventory, and time. So what's going to happen with people that need to move up in this market, especially from a condo or condo townhouse to a house? This is a tough one because if you purchased your condo a couple years ago, you might be breaking even, best case scenario. You might be losing as well. But there are opportunities to be had if you're moving up. Certain neighborhoods right now that have houses have have price decline in the last little while. That's slower. I'm talking about not primary neighborhoods. Places like High Park, Roncesvalles, Junction proper, those are still selling pretty quickly and pretty well. But if you purchased your condo or condo townhouse more than 5 years ago, you have more than enough equity to move up 100%. The housing market is very stable. I don't see prices for houses drop drastically by any means. It doesn't look like it, especially in the semi-detached market. There's a lot of interest looking in that pocket right now. But to sell your condo or condo townhouse in this market, you have to be priced very well. You look at the comparables, you have to price under that because your neighbors that sold, they probably sold in a better market, even if it's a few months ago. Market has shifted again. And the other thing to look at as well, though, you have to not only price under what your neighbor have sold for, you can't be in the middle of the pack in terms of all your competition. These are the other properties that you're competing against, other condos or condo townhouses. You have to be ahead of the pack, meaning that you're the most value in the choices because you have to cut through the noise. If you're stuck in the middle of the pack, you're going to get lost like all the other listings there, especially when looking at condos. There are over 6 months of inventory. 6 months. It's going to take half a year to absorb all those condos, assuming no new ones come on the market. But the good news is that the slow grind will eventually end. When immigration stabilizes and increases, the renewal cycle with all the mortgages is done. The major one is. And inventory starts to get tightened again. That means that the properties are getting absorbed quicker than they are coming on the market. And in my opinion, condos are going to start moving normal in about 2 years. Between now and then, we're in an area in time where buyers and sellers that are well-versed and understand the dynamics and also put their ego aside can make some decent moves. But you have to understand the cycle, in my opinion. Very close to it. We're going to hit stabilization very soon. And this is what I see. There are some patterns that I'm seeing pop up again. Home prices going to stay flat for the next little while. Flat's not bad. Dropping, not so good. That's okay. Condo prices might even come down a little bit more, given that 20% of buyers pulled back in November. There's going to be way longer days on the market for the next couple of years, for condos, that is. But there's going to be 100% guaranteed they're going to be motivated sellers in this pocket. So the motivated sellers are going to pop up in certain areas. Not all of them, some of them. So this market doesn't reward guessing, but it rewards a few things: patience, analysis, and jumping on opportunities when you see them. Well, this condo nightmare, it's temporary. It's real, but it's temporary. You could jump on opportunities. And for people to understand real estate cycles and betting on that condos are going to be coming back up in the next couple of years, this is a strategic window that hasn't happened in the last little while. So keep your eye out. If you're looking to buy a condo, there are some opportunities. Guaranteed they're going to pop up. If you're doing a move up, make sure your numbers make sense and that you put your ego to the side, because some sellers want to sell as much as their neighbors, even though that was a totally different market. And 3, patience is your friend. Thanks again for watching. See you soon.